It's race week. Welcome back, everyone, to what I think is episode 18 or 19, or yeah, we have recorded quite a few episodes here on the Try Hard podcast, but this is a very special edition race week episode. One of the Try Hards, Mike, is racing at, well, actually, we'll have him tell you about it. Mike, you want to, yeah, let's just get into it. Where are you racing this weekend?
Yeah, Cambridge, Maryland. I'll pick back up where we left off. We'll call this episode 18 and a half because we just thought we were recording for about 20 minutes, but we weren't.
It was 4 minutes.
Four? Was it really only four? Oh, it
It
felt
was
like a
really
long
only
time.
4.
Wow. Yeah, anyway, racing Eagleman 70.3 this weekend. It will be my third time racing this event, actually 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
The only other event that I've done that is Muscle Man. And I kind of like that because you get the opportunity to benchmark or baseline off of like how you did in previous years. Obviously, conditions change. Like the first year I did Eagleman, it was pouring rain. Next year, it was really hot. So two totally different races, but at least the same course. And then this year, I think it's going to be kind of a hot one as well. Probably up into the I say hot. For me, anything like above 70 degrees feels hot, living up north here. But yeah, very excited for it. And the prep leading up to this race has probably been the best of any preparation for a race that I've had. And it's interesting because this race is not a race that I've been targeting specifically. I've been training more for Ironman Lake Placid and Ironman Maryland, but added this race last minute, but I think with all the volume that I've done this off season, things feel really good.
And I know we had some issues or concerns rather at the beginning of the year with some ankle issues popping up. How's the ankle feeling now? Is it, I mean, I'm your coach, so I kind of know. I mean, it seems like you've been crushing the runs. You've been
Yeah,
hitting some long runs, has been holding up.
it's been good. Occasionally after like a either a really long run or like a hard like hill repeat type run, I definitely need like a day of no running in between workouts. But it's definitely getting better. It's close, and I was talking to Parker earlier this week, and I've been doing a lot of PT mobility stuff for the ankle specifically, but I think it's more it stems from like all the way up into my hips being tight. Everything's connected in the body, and as I've been trying to do more research on it, I've found that if your hips are tight, it could lead to like say a tight IT band, issues with your knee, and then that goes all the way down into your ankle. And it actually was Justin Riale's bike fit video that kind of gave me like an aha moment where I was listening to him talk about his bike fit, and he said I think it was his right hip gets tight, which also has caused him knee and ankle issues in the past. And I thought to myself, I was like, huh, that's interesting because after my last long run that I did, my left hip was pretty tight, and that's the same side that I've been having the ankle issue. So I was like, huh, it's probably connected. But yeah, things feel good. And if it hurts, during the race, it probably won't really hurt until mile 11 or 12. So
And by then, usually everything hurts. So,
yeah, yeah, everything will be hurting. I might not even feel it because other things will be hurting.
yeah. So, what have been some of your, I guess, I don't know, confidence boosting workouts or some workouts where you felt like, okay, yeah, things are really starting to feel good now?
Yeah. The swim and the bike, I don't know if there's a single session I would say that has made me feel more confident. I just feel I've always been pretty confident in my bike and my swim. It's more so the run that I've been lacking in. And the workout that we did this past Sunday was probably the best run workout I've done of the whole prep, maybe. It was a half marathon, and it was 3 miles easy, 3 miles at target half marathon pace, and then 2 miles easy, two at half marathon pace, and then one easy, and then one on, and then like a recovery mile. And while running it, I kind of knew that the with the recovery miles being around say like 8:15 to 8:30, and then when I was at half marathon pace, it was like 7:03 to 7:08 on all of the intervals. And then the last mile was supposed to be a cool down mile, but I looked at my watch and I was like, I did the math in my head and I was like, yeah, I think I could PR my half marathon today. So I'm just gonna kind of I'll slow it down a little, but I'm gonna keep it at more of like a tempo effort. Did that, got the PR, and then I just like walked a mile home. So I was like, I'll count the walk as my cool down here. But yeah, that was a big confidence boost because like hitting those paces, I don't think I've ever been down into the low sevens for like a half marathon goal pace workout, and my heart rate was where it needed to be too. Like it wasn't. It was. I don't think it ever got above 164, which is great. For me, like 162 is about that half marathon, at least in a 70.3. That would be my target heart rate usually. So to know that in the low sevens was not getting above that was a confidence boost for sure. I think it'll be a little slower on race day though, like coming off a hard swim and a hard bike, but anything probably sub 7:30 per mile, I'd be pretty happy with.
You
So
know,
when
yeah, normally we don't have athletes do a half Ironman the week before a race, but originally that was actually supposed to be a much longer run
Yeah,
workout until, yeah, you decide because, and as Mike kind of said, he hasn't really been targeting this, so this isn't like his major A race, so that's kind of why we still have Lake Placid. We're still viewing Lake Placid as kind of like the main goal, so we still want to build some fitness for that. While we do realize that, we may lose a little bit of peak fitness at Eagleman, it's something we're both or Mike's willing to forego.
yeah. It'll be a nice warm up for Placid. Just like gathering and packing all my gear up. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of stuff I bring to races, and like, there's a lot of things. Like, I was going through my race. I have a race checklist, and just gathering all that stuff. I'm like, wow, there's so much that goes into this, and things you need to think of, and it's also a good opportunity for me to test like different fueling strategies. In general, gonna be trying to target at least on the bike about 100 grams of carbs per hour, and then on the run probably 60 to 90, depending on how the gut feels. But I'm also going to bring with me, in the past, I started doing it late last season. I think on my last two races, I took like a handheld like soft flask bottle and I would put it in my back pocket and then take that and bring it on the run with me. And I'm going to use that in this race as an opportunity to get carbs in, because I sometimes find it hard to like when you're in a half Ironman, like wanting to take down a gel. When you're running hard, sometimes it just isn't what I want. So I'm like, if I can drink my carbs on the run, that would be better. And it can be difficult to like get in Gatorade or Mortal Hydrate. They're gonna serve Gatorade and Mortal, I guess they said. So I'm gonna try to grab the Gatorade and not the Mortal, but it sometimes it's tricky at aid stations. So my goal is to have at least 60 grams in that handheld bottle, finish that in like the first hour of the run. And then on the back half of the run, just grab as much as I can at aid stations. And I'll have some gels with me too, but um yeah, try to drink my carbs if I can.
nice. So when are you heading down? I know the race is Sunday, right? And what's going on Thursday? So are you leaving tomorrow, or what's the
Yeah,
plan for that?
yeah, race is Sunday, and Ezra and I are leaving the city around 10 a.m. tomorrow. We'll get there, do athlete check-in, grab our things. Probably we may jump in the water to do a short open water swim, or we might just save that. Actually, no, we're gonna save that for Saturday. We'll probably get on our bikes and ride a little bit of the course. Even though I think we've both done this race at least 2 to 3 times already. So
Hmm.
the bike course is nice and flat. It's a good course for PRs.
How's the water temperature looking like? What's illegal?
Uh, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I looked at they have like there was a website that's got like a sensor at like some weather station right there at the near the park, and it said it was 76.1, which is right on the cutoff. The last 2 years, it was wetsuit legal. I have a feeling it will be, but it's been pretty warm down there, like in the high 80s each day. So I don't know. It might be a swim skin race, which would be, I think, only the second swim skin race I've ever had to do. The first one was St. George my first year.
Yeah, I've only ever done one swim skin race.
And when I did St. George, I didn't even do it in a swim skin because I didn't own a swim skin. I just showed up on race. No, it was so bad. That was the worst swim experience ever. I had a panic attack in the water because I got like stuck between two people and just took in a whole bunch of water in my mouth, and it was like, I think I swam 37 minutes. It was so bad.
That's funny.
But yeah, I actually feel like if it's a swim skin race, I'm fine for that. It would actually be a kind of a good challenge. In the swim course, they've changed the course a few times. So my first year, it was a pretty fast. I actually went sub 30 my first year doing that race, and that was 2 years ago.
With
And
the
like
wetsuit? I've never
with the
gone sub
wetsuit,
30.
with the wetsuit, yeah. And yeah, like the goal this week is to go sub 30. Like I want to try to conserve some energy in the swim because I've had a couple races where I've overswam and then I get to the bike and I'm feeling cooked and it takes me like an hour to get my heart rate back to where it needs to be. Um, the nice thing though is on the way out, it's into the current and then you make a left-hand turn and another left-hand turn and then it's down current. And I think at this race, the down current probably plays more of an advantage than like the I guess the drawback of swimming into the current on the way out. Like I think it's a bigger benefit having it on the way back. So yeah, that'll be nice.
And now you're talking earlier about how you're trying to get, 100 grams of carbs an hour on the bike and the run. You mentioned briefly you're going to be using a combination of, the flask and some gels on the run, but what about on the bike? Are you going to be sticking to all liquid or like car or gels as well?
Yeah, so I planned it out where I will have a front bottle that's between my arms, and I'll have a rear bottle behind my seat, just one. Each of those bottles, I'm going to put 90 grams of carbs, and it'll also have 1,500 milligrams of sodium. My hydration bladder that's built into my bike, I'm going to put 60 grams of carbs with 1,000 milligrams of sodium. And then my Aero bottle on the down tube, that one I'm just going to put only electrolytes in there, just so that I have some variety in case I'm getting sick of the carbs during the bike. But that right there, what is that? That's
240.
240 grams, right? So I did the math on this. If it takes me like a good goal time, I think would be 2 hours, 15 minutes. So 240 grams of carbs divided by 2.25. It's like 106 grams of carbs per hour. So I could technically drink all my carbs if I want to. But and then in my little bento box, I plan on carrying 3 gels. I'm gonna carry one SIS beta fuel gel, one precision fuel and hydration 30-gram gel, and then 100 milligram caffeine gel from precision fuel and hydration. And I think if I do take any of the gels, it will probably be the caffeine gel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I might take that within the first hour. And then I don't think I'm going to drink all three of my carb sources on the bike, like the 2 bottles and the hydration bladder. I don't think I'll finish all of those. I might just get through 2.5 maybe. So that was why I was like, I'll probably toss a gel in there as well. It's
And if
very,
you
very different than my last year's strategy. Before I really understood like carbs and fuel intake, I thought I should just eat all of my carbs. So last year, I think I took 6 Morton gels on the bike, and I was pretty much just like wanting to throw up on the entire run.
Well, if you do, there's actually another way. You could get caffeine in if you're looking for you want a little bit more of a boost. I found recently there's like Crystal Light packets that are
Hmm.
caffeinated, so they're like water flavoring. And so what I plan on doing at Muscleman later this year is using one of those, and because it has like 60 milligrams of caffeine, and like I said, there's flavors, so you can get like fruit punch, lemon lime, whatever, and just mixing
Yeah.
one of those into one of the bottles with carbs, and then so it's
Oh,
like
interesting.
a caffeinated carb mix.
That's interesting. Yeah. I think at least my plan right now for caffeine throughout the race, and I was gonna ask you guys like if you have like a guideline of how much caffeine to take, but I'm gonna start the day probably with a Red Bull or a coffee before the swim start. And then on the bike, I'll probably take that 100 milligram caffeine gel. And then I plan on in T2, I'm going to take one of the Science and Sport Beta Fuel with nootropic gels, which has 200 milligrams. I want to take that either like while I'm running through transition or like just starting off the run. I think it would help me to get some caffeine to start the run. And then that'll probably be the last amount of caffeine I take. I don't really want to overdo it on the run.
Yeah, I feel like you don't need any more after the 200 mg nootropic one. That one like really hits you. That one's really
Yeah,
good. Big
I
fan.
love that one. I
Yeah.
love it. And yeah, so that would like total caffeine intake for the day then if I have one Red Bull, 100 it would be
500.
just shy of 400 because the Red Bulls I picked up today are like 80.
Oh,
So
that's
be
it.
like be
Yeah.
380. Yeah, I think they're the small
Okay.
bottles. I did get extra of them in case I want to in the morning, but I don't know if I should do
Like
that.
Christian Blumenfeld is down like five.
Yeah, I also like want to make sure that I get my digestive tract flowing early on.
That's why coffee's clutch for that, I feel like.
Yeah, usually I do coffee, but I found like sometimes the last thing I want when I wake up in the morning when it's like a hot race is like a warm coffee. So I
Yeah.
also picked up like one of those like cold brew, um, like a little thing of cold brew. So maybe I'll do cold brew, maybe I'll do Red Bull. Probably Red Bull, but
So do you have any like pre-race like rituals or like habits, or what do you do like race night? Do you have any of those? I know me you were asking that to me and Parker before Texas. So what's your
yeah. Um, so usually 2 to 3 days before the race, I try to start eating like the exact same meal. So like breakfast is usually oatmeal with like peanut butter and fruit. And then lunch and dinner, I keep it identical. It's usually just some kind of pasta with some spinach and chicken or like ground turkey and olive oil. And that's what I had tonight for dinner. And I usually do that, but this race, Ezra and I are staying together in a hotel room, and so we don't have a kitchen, so I won't be cooking. And we're just gonna go out to eat the 2 nights before the race. And I think at the restaurant, I'm probably just gonna order pasta and chicken and keep it really simple.
I wouldn't even
That's
get
what works
chicken.
best for me.
I wouldn't even get chicken. That's
Really?
what I'm at leading up to the race. That's
I knew that by me saying that Parker was going to be cringing because you're all about like not eating out before the race.
I've had I've had an experience when I ate out before. It's actually before. Funny enough, before St. George Worlds, and actually did really good there. So maybe I should eat out more often. But
Yeah.
yeah, that race, and I know too many other athletes that yeah, it's like riding a bike outside the week before a race. I just don't risk it. Like obviously, like the day or two, just to make sure everything works, I do. But like doing a workout outside a week, 2 weekends before the race, I'm like, it's not worth it. So. Yeah, those are my two golden rules that I have, and it's funny. I always
I
tell,
I broke I broke both of your rules.
yeah, yeah. How'd that work out for you on the bike, huh?
Oh my God. Crash the bike. Uh
Yeah, tell them about your
just
bike fiasco leading up. Talk about pre-race nerves and stress.
Oh my God. So yeah, so I usually ride a gray Canyon Speed Max, and there was some issues where there was play between the forks, the fork in the stem and the rest of the frame. There was like some wiggle, and I took it to a bike shop, and there's two bolts that clamp the base bar into the forks and connects it all together, right? One of the screws was over tightened, and the bike shop thought, well, we'll just put an easy out screw extraction tool in there, and we'll get it out. Well, they snapped the stainless steel bit in half, and so my bike was not really safe to ride outside is what they told me. And the only solution was to send the bike back to Canyon. So I have that on it. I'm going to be sending that out next week. It's in the box right now. It's all boxed up and taken apart. Sad to see that thing with nothing on it. But in the meantime, I have a refurbished red Canyon Speed Max. I'm calling it Red Rocket. That's what I will be riding for this season because I won't get the bike back from Canyon for at least 6 to 8 weeks, they said, which is pretty much like almost after my entire race season. But I took the new bike out and rode with Ezra up to Nyack, New York. It's like a really pretty route. We go over the George Washington Bridge and then go north and usually stop at a coffee shop. And we were riding, we went out, everything was great. The thing was riding smooth. The other difference too is the red bike is Shimano, the gray bike was SRAM. So switching over to that, like I've ridden Shimano before, like it's not a big deal, but I did have some issues with like the cables, like one of the cables came disconnected and that was another fiasco. But anyway, on our way back, we were riding up, we decided we would take the hills easy and then the flat sections we would put some efforts in because we were doing a flat race and like putting efforts in up the hills didn't seem like the smartest move for us. And literally the first hill, I stood up out of the saddle and like, did a pretty hard pedal down and I heard a snap and like Ezra heard it too. And we're like, what the hell was that? And then the whole rest of the ride, my gears were jumping around. Like I wouldn't even like shift gears and it would like move to the harder gear or to the easier gear. And I'm like, what is going on right now? And I took it to the bike shop. We passed a bike shop, took it to them, and they're like, "Oh, you broke the chain." I was like, "Really? I've never done that before." And the guy was like, "Yeah, either you got a bad chain or you're just really strong." And I was like, "Well, we can go with the latter, but that's not probably the case."
Crazy watts.
I don't think that's what caused it. But yeah. So
The
the chain
coaching plug right
was
there. If you
fucked.
join my coaching, I'll get you strong enough to break your chain.
Yeah, yeah. So the chain was, yeah, they put a new chain on. It was great. Like I was in and out of there in like 20, 30 minutes. And like, that may seem like a long time, but the fact that I showed up there last minute and they probably had 30 to 40 other cyclists that were just like kind of hanging out. Like it's also like a coffee shop too. And so I got the bike. We go back over the George Washington Bridge and there's like a narrow two-way bike path. And there's a few sections of the bridge where you have to like veer to the left, go through like this little tunnel thing, and then take a right and a quick left turn. Like they're just these little narrow sections that you really need to slow down at. So Ezra and I were not going fast. We were going slow. We get out of one of these little tunnels and some girl was going like probably at her full speed right into our lane and came like head first right at Ezra. He like yells out, clamps the brakes really hard. I'm like right behind him because we're probably going under 10 miles an hour and like barely even pedaling. I had nowhere to go because like it's so narrow. And I just like I stuck my hand out to like try and catch on the wall and like did not get the wall and just tipped over on the bike and scratched up a little bit of the handlebars and what else did I do? Oh, because of the way the bike landed, it moved my base bar like I don't know. It was a noticeable amount. Like if I'm going straight, like the base bar was like this, and I'm like, what the
Yeah,
fuck is
that
going
happened to
on?
me before. It's so weird.
Yeah, it was so annoying, and I was just super pissed off that this idiot girl had just didn't know what she was doing, was going way too fast, and like she was just like a casual like riding her bike with her boyfriend, it looked like, and they felt really bad and they were nice about it, but I was just like so fired up and I was like, I just need to leave. I don't wanna like start a fight here. I'm like, let me just get home in one piece, please. Like I'm just so mad. And thank God with the Canyon bike, like the through axle, when you take out one of the wheels, they have these little attachments that go on there so it makes it easy to like spin it off. The bike landed on that and it just scratched that, but the whole rest of the frame was perfectly fine. So was very lucky with that. Oh, it did actually break my 3D printed like bottle between the arm bottle mount, but I super glued that and we're good. Yeah.
There you go.
It's been a nightmare of a couple weeks here for bikes, but I think the bike is ready to go.
Awesome. Now, speaking of bikes, I know you mentioned your run goal and your swim goal. What's your goal for the bike? I mean, your time goal, but what's your power goal?
Power goal, probably like a zone 2, 400 watts. No, I'm kidding.
Who was it? Oh, did you guys listen to the Sam Laidlaw Ironman podcast episode?
I'm gonna listen
No,
to that after this.
Oh, they start off by saying he's like, yeah, I just finished 4 hours of 340 watts straight, sit on the trainer. I'm like, what?
oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
so he just did pretty much 4 hours of 300. It sounded like 4 hours straight, 340 watts, sitting on a trainer, staring at a blank wall.
That's crazy.
What's he
Yeah,
training for? Is he doing Roth or what's he doing?
I
Doing an
think
Ironman, right? He's doing
I
like a full
think
distance next, I think.
he's got to do one for Kona.
It's not Roth then.
I don't. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. No, it's not Roth because I remember Magnus was saying that he doesn't know how fast the bike will be because he won't have people like Sam, pushing him
Yeah,
or to work with. So I don't believe he's doing Roth. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he'll show up at Placid.
yeah.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Uh, Sam Long's gonna do Frankfurt. He's not doing Placid. Doesn't know. He's like signed.
Wait,
Yeah, he signed up for Frankfurt.
he's doing Frankfurt? I thought he was doing Cairns.
He's doing both.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Or like at least he
Wow,
signed.
that's
Like
crazy.
his name's on the start list for Frankfurt.
When is Frankfurt?
I don't know. I think it's like maybe 2 months. It's in a while.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, for the bike, realistically though, I'm gonna start out at around 250 watts and then kind of work my way up from there. We did a workout, was it Wednesday? And we were doing like some 10-minute efforts of doing 5 minutes at 250 and then 5 minutes at 285. So we are going like up to like close to a sweet spot effort. And for each of those efforts, just barely at the end, my heart rate was getting up to about 160, which is still below what a 70.3 heart rate is for me. So I think on like best case scenario, being able to push up to like say 285 watts, but I think after a swim, it's gonna be a little lower than that. So maybe on my best day, pushing 270. But on I'm conservatively going to start at 250 and see how that feels and try to open the legs up after the first 30, 45 minutes. Once the heart rate comes down to a good level, then we'll start to push. But in terms of time, this course is really fast. And I did a 2:18:40 or like a 2:19 or something 2 years ago and only did like 220 watts. So I think if conditions are similar and I push 250 to 270, I was looking at best bike split somewhere in the range of 210 to 215, I think is within the range of outcomes.
Yeah,
So,
no, I would agree from a coaching standpoint. I would second that.
yeah, Matthew Marquardt 2 years ago did 299 watts and went 204. So I think that's what we might see out of Ezra this weekend. I
Yeah.
think around us definitely a sub like two. I think his personal best is like a 209.
Well, he better
I
be
definitely
pushing
think
300 watts.
he'll be pushing 300. He'll be pushing over 300 certainly. Yeah, when we did our bike this weekend, we were doing like 5 and 7 minute efforts and like at his half Ironman pace and because I was in his draft, I didn't really have to push as much to keep up. But yeah, he was doing well over 300. Like there were a few efforts he did like 338,
There you go.
and he didn't seem like he was struggling. So
Well, it's also 5 minutes, so.
yeah, it's only 5 minutes, but yeah, he's got that type of power in his legs.
Let's see. Hopefully, it's not a repeat of Texas. I want him to do well. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I'd like to give him a couple high fives out on the run course. I know I'll be seeing him. What's going to be demoralizing is if he like passes me, like if he laps me. You know what I'm saying? Like because I don't
How
think
many
that'll
loops is
happen.
it?
It's just two.
Oh
I
no,
don't
then
think that's going to happen because,
you'd have to
but
keep walking.
if he puts a swim gap into me of like 2 to 3 minutes and then a bike gap I mean, my goal is to not let him gap me by more than like 7-8 minutes. But you never know what can happen out there. So there's a chance that he could be starting the run 10 to 15 minutes ahead of me, and he's a way faster runner. Like we're talking 20 minutes probably on the run, I bet. So maybe not that much, but potentially 20 minutes. So yeah, uh, maybe I won't even see him on the run course because of the way they changed it this year, the way it loops around and stuff. There's a chance I don't really actually see him, which I guess is probably a better thing. That means I'm holding a decent pace if I don't actually see him to the point where he's looping around on me.
But for the run course, do you run past that like section of bars at all? Because I know the full you do, or is it completely different?
No, that's the other side of the course. The full, so with the half, you run towards you come like if you were coming out of the park, you take a right-hand turn and you run towards like the neighborhoods and the water out that way, and you kind of just stay out there. On the full, you like go all the way out there, and then you come back and you pass the park and you go into the downtown section a little bit.
Okay, sweet. Yep, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
and it's crazy to think that that one is like 3 loops.
I know that looks awesome though. Like that the amount of people that are cheering there is so cool.
Yeah, it looks like a good course for the full. It's a great course for the half, and it'll probably be great for the full. It will be a bit mind numbing though, because you'll be doing the same thing over and over, and it will be my fourth time seeing the course, and then I'll see it, 3 more times in one day.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it this weekend. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps up on I have one more question I want to ask Mike, but Seid, do you have any more questions you want to ask him before? No?
No.
All right, Mike, the most important question. What will your post-race meal be? Do you have any plans, any celebrations?
Hmm. Oh, actually, I do know what I'm gonna eat post race. So there's a coffee shop called Rise Up Coffee, and they make breakfast burritos, and they also make an incredible coffee, banana, chocolate, like peanut butter smoothie thing.
Ooh.
It's really good. So
Saturday. Let's go.
yeah, you gotta go, Sid. That's
Yeah.
actually where I met Justin Metzler there.
yeah.
After I think he won or came second the year
what's
I
it called?
raced, and it's called Rise Up.
Rise Up Coffee.
Yeah,
Oh, delish.
yeah, great spot. Incredible breakfast burritos and just a good place. So that's
Mike,
my go-to.
you have to post a picture of it on your Instagram story, and everyone listening, go follow Mike and keep an eye out for that post-race breakfast banana coffee smoothie.
Yeah, that'll be good. I think the first thing I put in my body after the race is going to be a Coke. I've come to realize after the half Ironman,
Yeah.
as soon as I drink a Coke, it just like totally rebounds me. Last year, I think I laid on the ground with my face in the grass for like 20 minutes because I just basically walked like most of the run and was blowing up, and then someone grabbed me a Coke, and within 5 minutes of drinking that, I think I was back up on my feet feeling pretty good.
There you go. All right. Well, yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this week. Shorter one. And we'll definitely be doing a post recap. I think we have some more guests coming on, so definitely make sure to stay tuned. And if you guys watch this on YouTube, give us a like, comment, rate us, review us on whatever platform you're listening on, and go over and wish Mike good luck on Strava or Instagram.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Good luck, and we'll catch you guys back here next week for some more triathlon festivities.
Good luck, Mike. See you guys.
Good luck.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Try Hard podcast. If you enjoyed it, we'd appreciate it if you could share with others and leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you have any questions or comments for us, you can either DM us on Instagram, leave a comment on YouTube, or message us through the Spotify app. Lastly, I'd like to thank the sponsor of this week's episode, the Naperville Acupuncture Center. If you ever find yourself in the Chicagoland area and are dealing with some aches and pains, I cannot recommend Frank and Angela enough. They do an amazing job over there, and I promise you will leave feeling so much better. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you guys back here next week.